Okay, I think we are live.
Okay.
Let's see. Yep, we are live. Okay, I see it now. Um, I'm gonna wait for some comments. Hey, folks, I am here with Mayor Robert Garcia of Long Beach. I'm gonna let a couple of you guys join, and then we're gonna get started. We have a great discussion today lined up. Of course, we're going to talk about the Biden Harris ticket. We're going to talk about our favorite gal, Senator Kamala Harris. But we're also going to learn a lot more about the mayor's great work that he's doing in Long Beach. Mayor, thank you so much for joining me today. I don't know if you know this, but I actually graduated from elementary school in Long Beach. So,
I did not know that.
I lived in Long Beach for several years. Before I moved out of California, I was in Hawaiian Gardens, which is right outside of Long
Yep.
Beach. So I'm a little, LBC holds a special place in my heart. But I know a lot of us, particularly those of us in the K Hive, know you as being a staunch Kamala Harris supporter, ride or die from day one.
Ride or
Definitely,
die.
yes, ride or die. But let's talk a little bit about your background and what you're doing. You are the 28th mayor of Long Beach. You were reelected in 2018 by a whopping 80% of the vote. And there's so much going on right now. In Long Beach, you had some breaking news today with this Mayors for Medicare for All announcement. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, first, I'm really happy to be on, and I want to just first of all thank you and everyone that supports the work you're doing. The truth is, your voice is like really, really important. It was so important during the campaign.
Thank you.
And my husband and I love supporting you and watching you as well. So I'm happy to be on.
Thank
to support
you.
You're one of in my opinion, just one of the best voices in media right now that's developing. So we're just really proud to support you and to be here.
Thank you so much. You're too kind.
Absolutely. And I just want to, I think it's just a reflection of what our party is really about. We are a big tent party.
Right.
And we launched today, myself and the mayor of Oakland, Libby Schaaf, who's Kamala's hometown, a big supporter as well. Her and I partnered up to launch a Mayors for Medicare for All coalition. So our goal really is to get other mayors who support Medicare for All to sign on and build a network of mayors so that we present this to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, which is basically the group that all of us mayors belong to, so that when healthcare does come back up in the next Congress,
right,
and we have a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in office, Medicare is an important part of that conversation. We believe, I believe, and always have, as someone that whose family's been in the healthcare world, that Medicare works in this country. We have it. It exists. We know, we know how it works. So we're going to push for Medicare for All and work with the administration as much as possible to make it happen, have a coalition to do so. And the truth is Kamala Harris, Senator Harris, is actually one of the co-authors of that bill, as of course is being led by Senator Sanders. So there's a lot of folks on board, and we're excited to do it.
And I think what's interesting is, the Medicare for All debate has been this massive, almost a litmus test and battle lines being drawn. But you are a staunch supporter of the Biden-Harris ticket, particularly Senator Kamala Harris, and you're a mayor for Medicare for All. And I think what's interesting about what you said is that the point is about building a coalition to push for Congress. And I think a lot of people are having their litmus test before we have a new administration, whereas I think your approach is better, which is let's get these folks in office and then apply the pressure and then make the case for why Medicare for All is the right approach. We know Senator Kamala Harris supported Medicare for All. She supports multiple paths. And of course, being on the Biden-Harris ticket, Biden's proposal is for a public option. But, these are the kinds of things that evolve and can definitely be improved upon with a coalition. I think mayors is a great way of starting. You also have mayors for AGI, right? So tell us a little bit about that. Uh-oh, I think your audio went out. There you are.
Oh, there
gotcha.
You go. Okay.
Yep.
So, first, I want to shout out my brother Mayor Michael Tubbs from Stockton.
I love him, Stockton.
Yeah, and so he actually is really the kind of father of the group, right? So he had a pilot program in Stockton. We were giving out $500 at families, kind of seeing the impact on universal basic income, guaranteed income. And he put together a coalition of mayors. There's an initial about 15 of us in the group. It's growing now. Right. We're all going to launch pilots on guaranteed income in across the country. Obviously, Andrew Yang made this really popular in his campaign. But other senators are on board with direct payments to help people.
Right.
And even Senator Harris was talking about doing direct payments for multiple months. One of the bills that she supported as well. Right. But we just did a program where we gave $1,000 over 3 months to struggling renters to help pay their rent. That's a form of UBI. Right. And next we're going to launch a pilot in Long Beach, officially around guaranteed income. So the coalition of mayors. I'm part of the coalition. Obviously, Mayor Tubbs is a part of that coalition. Right. And there's other mayors across the country. So we're excited about that.
So how big is the pilot, and what does the pilot kind of entail?
So we're developing the pilot now. We're gonna so just the program we just did right now, we're giving them $1,000. That's almost 1,900 families.
Wow.
Which would be a pretty decent sized pilot if we did the same amount of families next year.
Right.
And the idea is to do all these pilots across the country and then get the best ideas, and then work again with the next Congress and try to get direct relief. We know that as automation happening with COVID, other issues, people need direct support, especially working families, lower income folks. They need to meet their basic needs. I think guaranteed income is the future. There's got to be a base floor of income that everyone can depend on.
Now, when you say guaranteed income, are there income thresholds for this, or is this something that is being, I know you guys are still developing the pilot, but are you thinking about it being irrespective of income in your initial rollout?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like not having a means test, around income, ideally is where you want to be. You want to get everybody support, but I think all the pilots will be different. So I think as we develop the pilots, some will have income, some might be directed at a neighborhood, some might be a certain population. So I think we're going to see all types. So we haven't figured out exactly what our pilot will be in Long Beach, but I think it's going to be great. And Andrew Yang has been very supportive of it as well. It's funny, as a diehard K-Hive person, I've been ride or die K-Hive day one. Yeah, I've gotten to know a lot of the Yang gang, just through the UBI work, and they're great people. So I'm very excited to get to know them as well.
I do. I like the gang. I like I've gotten more people into the fold, because we were at war with a lot of different supporters. But one of the cases that I made for Senator Kamala Harris during the primaries was her LIFT Act. Was a $500, $250 a month tax credit that can be accessed monthly. Now that was obviously means tested, but that would have been alone, and that's something that she proposed as a senator, the largest, way of addressing a middle class tax cut and getting people that monthly direct payment. I mean, it's a tax credit, but it's still essentially kind of the same thing. And as you mentioned, she has the Monthly Economic Crisis Support Act right now in response to COVID, which is $2,000 a month. Bernie Sanders is the co-sponsor, as well as Senator Ed Markey. And so that's another way of, where Senator Kamala Harris, Andrew Yang, God bless him. I think he's great. He does get a lot of credit, but Senator Kamala Harris has been thinking about these things too. It's just a little different approach, but I'm really excited about this Mayors for AGI, because I think that mayors truly are the first line of our government, and a lot of people take that for granted. And, you guys are really leading the charge and really pushing the party forward. And speaking of which, you were actually part of the DNC. You're part of this big group of 17 keynote speakers. What was that experience like?
Well, I mean, obviously, anytime you have a opportunity to talk about Joe Biden and the agenda, what we're trying to do is awesome. So I've been a little part of that history for the convention was great. There were other people that I really admired that were part of that kind of joint keynote. And then I got a chance to obviously to talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on cable and in newspapers and in op-eds. And that was really, I think, critical too, because for us in California, it's been really important for people to get to know Kamala. I think, you like me were oftentimes very frustrated during the campaign. I actually felt like in many times you were channeling what I was feeling, but maybe I couldn't say it all the time. And I feel like it's our job, especially those that know her, to tell her story and the kind of person she is. And so that anytime I get a chance to do that, I want to do that. Right.
Absolutely. Let's talk about COVID, because that is obviously, with the complete abdication of leadership, deliberate abdication of leadership from the White House, we've really seen mayors like yourself, Mayor London Breed in San Francisco, Eric Garcia down in Los Angeles and across the country, Keisha Lance Bottoms. So many people really step up to the plate and fill that leadership void. Talk to us a little bit about your leadership and your experience. I know, I hope I'm not being inappropriate by, extending my condolences to you, because you were very deeply impacted by this. But talk to us a little bit about, your leadership. Also, today the breaking news about the Bob Woodward tapes with, Donald Trump, intentionally downplaying it. What does that mean to you as a person who had to step in and fill this void and really impress upon people the severity of this COVID response that we're still dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, let me start by saying that you mentioned two mayors that I respect and love. In fact, I talk to Mayor Garcia and Mayor Breed once or twice a week. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that the mayors of all the big cities in California, we're on a call, just us, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, kind of sharing what we're doing and working together as a team of big city mayors. Mm-hmm. And London has done some amazing things in San Francisco. I'm a huge supporter of her work. Yeah. And Mayor Garcia is just next door to us here. So we're all together in this together. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is a complete unmitigated disaster. End of story. He has been terrible for this country and the COVID crisis. We are in the situation we're in today because he has completely failed this country. I lost my mom and my stepdad due to COVID-19. I appreciate all the support I've received around that. And all the folks that have lost family members, a lot of this could have been prevented. Yeah. And it's been a complete failure. So as mayors, we've got to step up and do the work. I remember early on as a mayor, and I was talking to London about this, or to Eric about this as well. They kept saying, "Oh, the tests are on the way." It was the first thing that happened. The federal government to send you all these tests. Yeah. Tests never came. We had to take care. We had to go procure these tests ourselves. We had to talk to people and companies on the other side of the ocean, talk to folks in Korea and China and other places to create connections and relationships to get the things that we needed to get the job done. And so we work with our state. Our governor, Gavin Newsom, has been phenomenal as a support and leader for us. But mayors have had to step up. The states had to step up. Another thing people don't know during this crisis is, Senator Harris would probably get us mayors together every other week, every 3 weeks, to talk us through the COVID crisis and how she could help us get resources to our cities. And so there was a lot going on behind the scenes that people didn't know about and that still don't know about. But the crisis isn't over. We've got to continue to be careful.
So how is it balancing kind of the reopening, and people kind of seem to have COVID fatigue almost, and but there's still a responsibility and a duty to your citizens to kind of make those tough choices. How has that been?
Well, I mean, I think it is hard because you don't want to see things close down. A lot of people are unemployed, and my heart breaks for our small businesses and for people that want to work. They need their income. At the same time, human life is the most important thing. We got to keep people safe. And the only way we're going to actually overcome the crisis is by getting that positivity rate down, is by making sure that less people have it, and that we can do the important things like open our schools back up at some point when it's safe. So you got to continue to be careful. And unfortunately, when we don't have national leadership. So when you have the president of the United States who calls it a hoax, who doesn't want people to get tested, who downplays the virus, it makes it harder for the rest of us who won't put a damn mask on. That makes it harder for the rest of us. So he has been an impediment to getting to health for this country. And I'm ready to turn the page. I'm ready for the Biden-Harris plan for the kind of leadership that we all need, and we need it yesterday. So the sooner this election can happen, the healthier we're going to get as a country, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to not just get Biden-Harris in there, but to get a Democratic Senate, because Mitch McConnell does not care any more than Donald Trump. Yeah, bye-bye, Mitch. And we have to hold on to the House. We have to make gains across the country in this election. So much is at stake. So let's talk a little bit about Kamala. We love Kamala, right? You actually you really came through, you and a group of people, and I want you to give us a little bit of insight about this. came through for Senator Kamala Harris, where she was on, and to me, what felt like unprecedented siege by detractors or whatever you want to call it during this VP. It was a very public VP vetting process. And you guys actually came and met with the campaign privately with the vetting committee to kind of come to her defense. Kind of tell us a little bit about that, about the process and kind of what impact it had. Not to say that you're taking credit, but just how important is it to have people who really vouch for you at the level that you and others are at to come through for Kamala?
Yeah, I mean, let's take it back for a little bit for me. So for me, this comes from a place of pure love, friendship, and respect for my senator, for a friend, and for someone that's always been there, for me and for our state, right? And so she installed me when I became mayor. I mean, I have supported her work. And so when you see someone that has an incredible level of integrity and character and intellect, and she has all that in spades, and she is an intellectual leader in the Senate, right? In this work. And so when you see someone like that get attacked, and I was seeing this caricature of her being portrayed, you got to take action. We for a lot of us, so myself, as you know, I was diehard Kamala. I was one of the co-chairs for her campaign in California. We were knocking on doors in Iowa. I was knocking on doors in Nevada, all through the primary. And I met her team on the ground. First of all, she had the best team in politics. Best team.
I love them.
I love them too. And so when you see that, and then you get to know her, and this character begins to happen. When I jumped over to the Biden campaign, a lot of us that went to Biden, I'm just talking for myself. Yeah. I went to Biden also thinking this is a great shot for Kamala to be on the vice president. Right? And I was there for the vice president. Yeah. But I also, in my own quiet way, was making sure people knew where I stood, which was Kamala's got to be the VP. That's it. Right. And so that was my part of it. And so I was doing that quietly for a while and doing what I needed to do to talk to the people that I needed to talk to. So people are very understood that Kamala was the strongest choice, in my opinion. Yeah. So then towards the end, when this kind of stuff that you started coming up that we discussed, we got to a point where it just couldn't be so private one-on-one anymore. Yeah. And I really want to congratulate and thank our Lieutenant Governor, Elena Kounakis. Her and I started chatting a little bit, and she was like, hey, look, we need to get a group together of kind of the people that know Kamala the best from California. Right. And go straight to the folks that are advising the vice president directly on the decision. Right. And tell them what's up. Because what's happening right now in the press is just the biggest bullshit of all time. And you saw what was going on. I was livid. It was crazy. It was insane. And so she got a group of us together, and we went to the crew, the folks that were making the decision, the selection committee, and the folks that were around the vice president. And we just made our case. And we talked very directly. We made sure that the record was clear. Yeah. Kamala Harris is a progressive. Right. Kamala Harris is the future of the party. And so we talked about her record. We talked about California, what she did in California. We talked about her loyalty to the people that she supports. We can speak directly to that because we have the experience. And then the one thing we talked about the most, and I that's where I spend all my time. I said, look, we're all talking politics. I want to talk to you about Kamala Harris, the person. Yeah. She's funny. She has a great laugh. She does. She's kind. She loves her family. The way she's around Doug, as you all know, and her team. And people don't get to see that side of her. And the press almost like they wanted to create this other person, this other caricature that was just not her. Yeah. So we talked about her, and we did our part. At the end of the day, this was the vice president's decision. Right. He is an awesome nominee. We're so excited and behind him. So we're just happy he made the decision, the right choice. The right choice. And it's paid off. I mean, $364 million in August compared to 210 for Trump. I think this is like a slam dunk. And slam dunk. I appreciate you so much. As a Black woman,
I felt attacked, because I'm just like, well, what more do you have to do? I mean, she's a sitting U.S. senator. She's the highest ranking Black woman. She has this unimpeachable resume, and she's getting attacked from every angle. So I really appreciated knowing that there were people like you who had the power and had the conviction and the will to actually speak up and defend her, because it just always feels like Black women are left out to dry. And I was like pissed, because I'm like, when has anybody ever done right by a Black woman? And blah, blah, I was just going there with all these emotions. And then hats off to Vice President Joe Biden, because he rose above all of the sludge that was happening and whatever kind of stuff was happening. And he really did make the right decision. And he has just a completely powerful ally and Senator Kamala Harris, they do not know what to do as far as attacking her. They can't make up their mind on what they want to paint her as. But exactly. I'm happy to have so many people on board with Kamala. So this is like a new territory for us, right? We're not always on the defense. And we're like, oh, everybody loves Kamala now. This is great. But let's talk about allyship. Because one of the things that I've always been super drawn to Kamala about is the substance of her record. I've always said, it's not about symbolism, it's about credentials. And I know you can speak to this, as a Californian, and, talk to me a little bit about, the Latinx community is going to be a very crucial a group in terms of the voting bloc. We have the LGBTQ community as well, which is, we already know, will be completely hung out to dry and actually attacked under the Trump-Pence administration another 4 years. Talk to us a little bit about how Kamala has been an ally to so many different communities that are typically, people choose one, right? Or people pick and choose, okay, which community am I going to ride with? And that's who I'm going to focus my attention on, that slither of voters.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a Latinx person who is immigrant, not born in this country, and an LGBTQ person, I can speak to those issues very personally, not just what I've seen from her record.
Right.
Look, I think first, I think about 2004, when I was a closeted young adult, not trying to figure out who I was, had no idea what my politics were, I had no idea what I believed. Kamala Harris was on my television screen marrying gay couples in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And her and Gavin Newsom, I remember both of them vividly marrying gay couples and the impact that had on me as a young person, seeing that happen, right? And that helped me in my coming out process and kind of figuring out who I was. And following her career beyond that, she went on, of course, to become AG, the most pro-LGBTQ LG in the history of our state.
Right.
Obviously broke barriers as a Black woman in that role as well. But what she did to ensure that she would not defend, Prop 8, just to make sure that she always stood up for LGBTQ rights in the courtroom, but also in her actions, was clear. And so when she moved on to the Senate, she had that same record. I mean, she has been the same consistent LGBTQ plus ally from day one. She brought trans people into her offices, into her legal work to ensure that they were represented. And sometimes you'll hear, stories or kind of misconceptions about her record. The truth is that she is the most pro LGBTQ plus person on a national ticket, her and Joe Biden together, that there has ever been. Like, period, end of story. I wrote an op-ed on The Advocate, which is obviously a big gay magazine, with the executive director of Equality California, talking about her record and why it's stellar. As a Latinx person, I remember back when she got elected to the U.S. Senate. We were doing a bus tour right before her election. She got elected, of course. We're very happy, and then she calls me up the day after she was getting sworn in. Says, "Hey, I'm going to make my very first appearance as a U.S. senator.
Yeah,
come join me." I said, "Where are we going?" She said, "I'm going to actually go talk to Dreamers and undocumented communities." Her very first appearance was with undocumented young people, Dreamers, immigrant moms, Latina women, that she gathered together to tell them that even though she was in the U.S. Senate and was going to fight for them, she was also going to fight against Donald Trump.
Right.
And she was ready to take them on. So she made her commitment to that, to our community, clear from day one. And since then, she has supported immigration reform, Dreamers, you name it, she's been there. So from an allyship perspective, I mean, obviously, am I excited to see a Black woman as our vice president?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, but I'm also excited to see an ally to both the LGBTQ plus community and the Latinx community. I was on a call today for Joe Biden's National Latino Council, which I'm on, and we talked about how when she got nominated by the vice president, the numbers for the campaign within the Latino community jumped. Like right. Latinos are down for Kamala. We are excited for her candidacy. She represents us also. I mean, and so we feel that connection with her. So we're excited. She's going to help. She's going to really help turn out our vote, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting because I feel like, one thing you can't do is you can't go back in a time machine and create allyship where there wasn't there, And I appreciate that she doesn't have to explain evolving on a lot of issues because she's been an ally from day one. And again, like I mentioned earlier, she's never sacrificed one demographic for another. In her work, she's been an ally to the Native American community, to the AAPI community, to the Black community, to all of our communities. And so I think that it's just really important to have a person with a seat at the table that truly cares about these issues and has a record of thinking about the solutions and actually putting solutions in place. That is what we have in Senator Kamala Harris and what we have as well at Vice President Joe Biden. So listen, it's been great talking to you. I just want to hear your closing thoughts for the folks in the comments, for everybody tuning in. What do we have to do? 54 days left. I know a lot of people are worried about voter suppression. I know a lot of people are worried about that one person in the comments that doesn't like Kamala and they want to argue and, they want to convert every person. What do you think we should be doing in this closing 54 days to really bring home the win for the Biden-Harris ticket?
Well, I think the first thing I think it's really important for us to remember going into this is that even though the polls might look like they're on our side, we've got to work really hard and whatever we can do in our own way. The Biden campaign, and the vice president, let's be real here, he is running a stellar campaign. Yeah. And he had from day one, he had his message, he stuck to it, good and bad. He's been an excellent nominee and candidate, and we're fortunate to have him at the top of our ticket. And so so Biden-Harris is a great ticket. Mm-hmm. They're raising the resources that they need to do to win this thing. We've got to make sure that those of us, especially, I know a lot of the folks that are watching are online and they're diehard K-Hive members, keep doing what you're doing. I will tell you that the campaigns, they pay attention to the activists, the online chatter, and we got to keep defending the vice president and Kamala when they need defending. When people are restoring the record, that is helpful. Okay. So stick up for our candidates, vote, turn out the vote. Don't get fooled that the polls are just saying we're going to win. We got to work hard still in these states. We can spare some time, especially as we get closer, to make some calls or some texts. I would encourage you to do that. You can donate, $25 here and there to help out. Do so. It's all hands on deck.
Right.
And this is a moment for us to not just elect probably the most qualified person if you're walking into the presidency, mm-hmm. but to elect the first woman who is also a Black woman mm-hmm. to a national ticket. I mean, she is going to break every barrier that so many others paved the way for her. So we're excited. Let's get them both elected, and then we can turn the page on this nightmare that we're in right now. So.
It feels relentless, but we are in the sprint towards the finish. Yep. I mean, some absentee ballots are going out already. By the end of this month, probably a large majority of the states will have sent out absentee ballots or started that process. There's some early voting that's going to be starting soon. So we cannot let up, folks. Y'all heard it from Mayor Robert Garcia. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to, hit up our folks and be like, hey, check out this interview in case you guys missed it. That's all I really have. It's been really great. It's been fun being in this fight with you.
You too.
We just got to keep it going just a little while longer, and then maybe we can woosah after November 3rd.
That's right. You will.
All right, y'all. We will catch y'all next time. Bye.